but you have to report to somebody who doesn't know and understand what they're supposed to do. So you as the employee who is reporting to such a person, when you have, first of all, you still need to show respect. That's where it starts from. You still need to show respect, whether they know or not. They're your bosses. Because if you don't, the Employment Act will talk about insubordination. They give you instructions. If you don't do it, you'll be sent for disciplinary hearing and all that. So you still need to show respect. And as you're showing respect, find a balance of how you can be able to give feedback and suggest those improvements that you'd want to see.
Okay, you've segmented it to a particular group, but I think that also happens to us Christians, by the way, now that we're in a church, because those employees who are there, they say they are Christians, employers, sorry, they are Christians, they come here on Sunday, tomorrow they'll be here, they'll give us tithe. And even that one happens. In fact, this case I'm referring to, these are Christians, right? So, yeah, you want to comment on that one as well?
Just come again.
You had segmented the segregation, people who bring their relatives to a particular group of people, but I'm saying that it also happens to us Kenyans who are Christians. Like this case that I'm referring to is a Christian. They bring their own relatives to the workplace, and it's bringing all this politics. So I just wanted to comment that it's not just one group of people.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So it's a dicey situation, and like I said, you still need to just find a balance, find the right balance on how do you survive in such an environment. If you go out loud, you may find yourself in the streets, thrown out. So find a balance. I'll still say you find a balance. Unless, Kevin, you want to add something?
Okay. Let me add something. Most of the time we get agitated, and I know this might not sit well with a lot of you, but most of the time we get agitated because somebody has been brought, what would say, to become your boss, and you feel that they are not qualified to be there. But sometimes, yes, they might not be qualified to be there, but you might equally not be qualified to be there. And then the question is, sometimes we struggle so much on why that person came, and we lose focus on executing what your actual current role is. And so sometimes, most of the time, you find yourself being exited, not because you complained about the boss, but it is because you shifted your focus, because that element came and it shifted your focus and it made you not perform well in your current role, as you're very busy thinking and planning and politicking about the person that came from wherever, the relative. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that sometimes when it happens, you need to self-check yourself so that even as you try and, as Renee is saying, finding a balance and trying to look for solutions, you don't relax on your role, because that is where we find most of the problem. Yes, the person came in the wrong way, a relative, not qualified and everything, but then now spend your next 3 months complaining and backbiting and doing all these things about that person that came. And then when the performance review comes, you complain that you are fired unjustly. But the truth of the matter is, for those 3 months, all you did from Monday to Friday was go for cups of tea and lunch to talk about the new boss that came. So as you find that balance, let's not lose focus of what we are supposed to do, so that at the end of the day, your job is perfect, even as you look to complain about the other role that was replaced in the wrong way.
I want to say with you, Kevin, you remember caller said that they want a lot of money, and they are working at getting a lot of money. That's why they do all these different remote jobs and different jobs to make that money. They also have a lifestyle that they are feeding into. And there is the tomorrow. They are not seeing the boomers level coming, and it will come, they will retire. How would you advise them on the issue of financial stewardship?
I think this is not even a preserve of the Gen Zs only. I think it's a preserve of all of us. Wealth or financial discipline is rarely about how much you make. It's simply about how much you keep and how much you can multiply. Wealth, the other mistake we do is we think that wealth responds to knowledge. Wealth responds to discipline. Discipline is the key to wealth. And so it's just about having goals, deciding what you want to achieve, and then asking yourself, how am I going to get there? Now, it's important to know, like Irene has said, and I think it's not Gen Zs only. Most of us, we call it YOLO. You only live once. We only want to live today. But the truth of the matter is that there is tomorrow. So the question is, what is the hidden interest of the lifestyle you're living today that you are not able to see that is going to come and affect your tomorrow? The lifestyle or whatever you're buying today, the lifestyle you're living today, there's something we call the hidden interest. Now, when you go to the bank and take a loan, there's an interest. There's always a hidden interest in everything that you do. The question you ask yourself is, whatever I'm doing now, how is it going to affect my future? Number two, when it comes to financial discipline, you need to differentiate between needs and wants. Especially going back to what I talked about, especially maybe when you're now getting into a job, when you get into a job loss or an income uncertainty place, you need to first of all ask yourself, what are my needs and what are my wants? Needs are things you cannot do without. Wants are things that can wait for tomorrow. Sometimes we fund our wants at the expense of our needs, and trust me, when you do that tomorrow, you are not going to have anything to fund your needs. So it's important for us to ask ourselves these fundamental questions. Now, financial discipline, like I'm saying, right now what I'm talking about is giving you knowledge. It will not work if this is all you're going to do, is come and listen. You have to take the deliberate step and go and implement. We have talked, I'm sure, I don't need to talk about budgeting, I don't need to talk about saving, I don't need to talk about you joining circles, all of you know it. But how many of us, especially Africans, there is a speaker, I can't remember who came here and said, I think it was Pastor that said, if you want to hide your wealth in Africa, hide it inside a book. We don't like reading and doing all these things. For example, how many of us here budget? How many of us here have a written budget? How many of us here have more or less like a 2-year financial plan? How many of us know what they want to do with the money that they're going to get in the next 5 years? We know that things we should do, but we are not doing them. A simple thing like writing. I'm not even asking you to follow the budget. Most of you have stopped with the fact that they have a budget where? In their heads. You have not even written it down. You see, these are practical things that we need to do. I repeat what I said. Financial wealth does not follow knowledge, it follows discipline. You need to do these things for you to be able to live well financially. Now, discipline is important. You need to understand what you want. You need to understand where you are. You need to understand where you are going. And you need to ask yourself how that journey is going to look like. You will have to forego certain things when it comes to financial discipline for the sake of tomorrow. You cannot avoid foregoing certain things today. So the question is, what am I foregoing today so that I can be able to enjoy it tomorrow? So Gen Zs and everybody, when it comes to financial discipline, over and above knowing what you need to do. Because trust me, again, Irene, Kenya, we are not devoid of the knowledge. We are only devoid of actions. We are not doing what we need to do. So today, take a decision and say, first step, the simplest thing, I'm going to write down a budget. Just write it. It's going to be the first step towards your financial freedom.
All right, great there. Now, you get into a workplace, they give you a contract to sign. Renee, this is to you. But there are those finer prints you don't tell us, like the bankers, you know, they always have those fine little prints down there. Even the HR things, they are fine little prints you don't know of until you enter the workplace and then you find a lot of politics and you're like, a lot of stress in that place of work. How can we manage this toxic level of politics within workplace and toxic stress that you've gotten yourself in, you've already signed, it's a good package, but here it is. How do you manage that?
So there's something called culture. Culture is the unwritten rules, how things are done. So those are the shocks that you get when you get into an organization. And those unwritten rules are what now leads to the toxic work environment and the politics. So when you get into an organization, the first thing you need to do, just learn that organization. Learn, don't let anything little pass you. Everything, learn. You can be in a political environment, but you will not play the politics. So just learn, how do I stay afloat in the midst of all this politics and not play politics? And when you know that, you'll be able to even pinpoint before it reaches you. The way somebody will come and talk to you, or certain things that are done, there are certain decisions that may be made even from top management, and you'll be able to tell that this one is politics. Somebody here is just trying to be nice and to throw someone under the bus. So once you're able to read the signs from afar, you'll be able to learn how to deal with it. You can stay in that environment, but you will, it's like we are in the world, but we are not of the world. So you'll be in that organization, in the politics, right in the middle of it. But you choose not to play the politics, because politics will be everywhere. There is no organization that you will move to that you will say, this is now okay. Wherever there are people, even us, the way we are sitting here, four of us, some of us would be on this group and another. That is politics. So be there, but don't be in it.
Learn the politics, but don't engage in the politics. And that reminds me of the Bible verse that you should ask for wisdom. So every day, when you step into those doors, ask God, give me the wisdom to deal in this place. Let me finish up with you, Kola. It's like Gen Zs are giving us a new written book. HR managers, HR professionals, it's like they're giving us a new written book on how to manage human resource. So can you advise us, what strategies do you have for us for recruiting Gen Zs? Because you are our future, and you're peculiar, and you're the best. I love your model.
I know, we are always the best. And the fact that by 2035, I think the percentage increase will be like around 31%. That means that Gen Z is going to be like the largest in the job market. So a few things that employers should look at in terms of retaining us amazing human beings is to at least build a strong employer brand online. And what Renee has mentioned about you, first of all, trying to study about the organization before you get into it. And I think why we are having an upper hand in terms of technology is because I am not blindly going to get into an organization without seeing the type of TikTok dances they do, without seeing, without getting them being loud about their employees, sharing the impact that their employees get from them. So we are going to leverage onto the social media platforms. We're going to look up for you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on TikTok. One thing that employers should look at is building a strong employer brand online. The other thing is to emphasize on the purpose and the social impact. Like, don't just talk about what you're doing for the planet, showcase. And I love the fact that Irene is working with women in her current organization, and she's actually so loud about the number of women she's been able to work with to mentor. Those are the kind of things that we want to see organizations do. And yeah, so employers should look into the kind of social impact they are doing, and to leverage technology in recruitment. Honestly, we're in the age and era where an HR, you shouldn't call me to come for a physical interview. Like, share with me a Google link, I will join, and you can ask me all the questions on that Google Meet. Then at least offer career growth and learning opportunities. I know we're so big in terms of personal development. So if an organization is open to helping us grow in terms of our career, mentorship, coaching, then of course we will be retained in such organizations. Then the most important one is flexibility. I want to work when I feel, or rather, okay, let me not just say, let me not say that, but I don't want to come to the office 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. What am I coming to do? I can do the same thing at home. I have a desk. The way I think one of the speakers said, you can just have a desk, set up your home and work. We can work from home. So that's also another way of retaining us and foster a culture of feedback. Honestly, we don't like bosses. If you are my line manager, don't be bossy. Be my mentor, coach me, give regular feedback. Like, don't wait for Christmas to give me a voucher for the work I did well in January. Honestly. Yeah, so if employers and line managers can be able to give feedback there and there, like, Grace, you have done this so well today, keep it up. Don't wait for performance evaluations to tell me, Grace, by the way, you can improve on this. And so yeah, so Gen Zs are here to stay, and we are here to make our work interesting. Thank you.
Wow, you've heard it. I'm so right when I'm saying that human resource, you must create a new manual. The workforce is going to be Gen Zs, and you can hear them. And that goes for her parting shot. I wouldn't even go there, because if I go back there, we'll be shocked at what the Gen Z, and they're really, you know, I'm seeing them, I'm seeing their faces. They're in agreement with what Grace is saying. So I think it's a challenge for us, because part of social action and advocacy, when we're advocating at work, the HR managers who are here, the Christian HR managers, start having these conversations so that there's some inclusivity of these Gen Zs. And I know that Sakwa is coming to speak after us here on the issue of diversity and inclusivity. So let's have the parting shot from Kevin, then we wrap it up with Renee, and then we call it an afternoon for the panel.
Thank you very much, Irene. I think I'll leave you with two things. One is just to remind you that the job loss that you might have or you are currently experiencing, for anyone who might be doing that, is not the end of your life. It's not the end of your career. It's just the close of one chapter. The book is still long. You can write. Let's continue writing that book. Let's redefine ourselves. Ask yourself, what did I gain from that particular job? What did I learn? And how can I use what I learned as a stepping stone to the next level? Number two, on financial discipline, is that the budgeting, the savings, and all these things, and all the other financial tools we are talking about, all fall into one thing. They all fold into one principle called discipline. If discipline is not put in place, everything else that we have said you're not going to see impact. So those are the two things I want to leave you with.
Renee?
Thank you, Irene. My parting shot would be to minimize organizational politics. As HR professionals who are here, let's have values. Let's have a culture where we have values and we define those values. When employees live values, then you will minimize politics. And one thing that Gen Zs are doing to us now, if the politics is too much, they will quiet quit. They just don't come to work. No resignation letter, they'll just not come. So let's have flexible policies, let's have values that they can live by. And we celebrate wins. Thank you.
Well put, values. And what better way for us Christian HR professionals and everyone here to embrace the biblical values that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a good time sharing with Grace, with Kevin, and with Brene on the issue of Gen Z at workplace you've had. And the challenge is, let us really think how the future at workplace will be for them. On issue of job loss and financial management, you have been told losing your job is not losing your identity. You can still come back in a new form. And about the money, it's about just your discipline on how you're going to manage your finances. And if you heard about the politics, let's embrace values. Please, let's give a round of applause to our panelists, and thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Can we give another round of applause to the panelists? That was such a powerful session. It was so nice to be heard, to be heard like that. For some of the HR professionals to hear that we don't want to step into work every single day, 8 to 5. If I can work from home, there's no problem. If I come with my jeans to the office, it doesn't affect my work performance, etc., etc. Yeah, so we have so many more things lined up. The thing that we're waiting to experience the most, I'm sure, is the workshop. But before that, we have a session. You know the way we used to be taught in high school, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So the next speaker is the powerhouse of the next session, right? So he's coming to speak to us on diversity and inclusion, and that's so important in the workspace of today, because nowadays everything is about being included. Everybody wants to be included. So our next speaker is a HR consultant, somebody with over 20 years of work experience. Can you ask your neighbor, wewe uko na work experience ya miaka ngapi? Imefika 20. Yake imefika 20. So let's give it up. Can we please be alive? Aren't we young? Let's give it up. Give it up. Mr. Sakwa.
Good afternoon. Give your neighbor a high five, tell them you are included. Tell them even with where you come from and how you look, you are included. Now we're going to start, this session is going to be a bit different. So the guys that are doing the mics, please get ready. This is going to be more of a conversation than it is a presentation. And allow me to start by first getting to add a little bit to the title that I was given. I was asked to talk about diversity and inclusion. But those are 2 steps in a 4-step journey. That is step 1 and 3. I want to insert step 2 and 4. So there's diversity. Before inclusion, there's another one. Which one? Equity, thank you. So there's diversity, equity, inclusion, and the 4th step? Belonging. Fantastic. So I want to talk about the 4. DEIB, as it's acronymed. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And there are 2 anchor verses that are going to inform our conversations about this. If you could just flash them for these guys to see. So the second one is the one that I want to largely dwell on, and that's from Revelation 7:9. So after this, I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. Where is this picture? This is a picture of where? Sorry? Someone talk to me. Is the pressure increasing or decreasing? Oh, this is a picture of where? Heaven. Fantastic. There are different kinds of characters. Expect to find those characters in heaven. So we're already talking about diversity in heaven. We're already talking about inclusion in heaven. We can do a better job here, right? It's my pleasure to be here. Allow me to introduce myself, and my next slide is going to be a bit of a pictorial. So, next slide, please. Irene, when you're sharing this presentation, please delete slide number 2 from my presentation. Media, please, give me slide number 2. Give me slide number 2. Please delete this one. It is sensitive. And in this era of data privacy, I am requesting that this information is not shared to the world. Okay. It has refused. Fine. It will come as we talk. Slide number 2. So the slide number 2 is really about me and who I am. Christopher, Nimrod, John, Sakwa, Munyendo, Odongo, Alois, Chombi, son of Bushuru wa Wangara. But my M-Pesa names are Christopher Sakwa Wangara, all right, for the record. But call me Sakwa, son of Wangara, I'll be happy. I come from Mumias East, a village called Haimba. When you hear Mumias East, what comes to mind? Apart from sugar, who comes to mind? Thank you, that's my MP. Thank you very much. PK is my member of parliament. Has been said I have 24 years of experience. Yes, specifically, I have done 12 years in HR. Before that, the previous years, I played in the space of logistics, sales, and distribution. Worked for leading, now defunct, sugar miller, Mumias Sugar Company, where I did 11 years, rising through the ranks. Like Pastor Bruno, I could touch on 12 jobs I have had. Maybe I'm going to talk about being 12 times better. You never know. So 12 jobs I've had. My first job, I was a casual, I was a laborer. 18 years, baru strong, went into this factory and I was in the workshop. I almost lost my finger because of thinking I can lift some things off the lathe machine. That was an experience. I earned some money from it. And with this money, I bought a bicycle. I'm Luya, so you know what that means, right? That's a big deal. So I bought a bike. And I would go to the mechanic, a fundi rather, he's fixing my bike, and I'm thinking this guy is expensive. So I learned a thing or two. And guess what my second job was? Fundi wa bike. Moved on from there, got some money, I bought a camera. Alande talked about cameras. Yes, I had that as my first business, a paparazzi. So I had a bike, I have a camera, I can move around, take photos, take deposits, and then, thank you, this is the slide, Irene, that must be deleted, this one. So I had a bike, so I move around, take photos, I have the deposit happening, and once the film is ready, Kodak Pro Photo 36 exposure, then I go process it, then come back with photos. Zingine zilikuwa zinaungua. Gen Z, you have no idea what I'm talking about, and it's okay. Moved there, from there, went to college. By the way, I was born and bred in Mumias. Went to Mumias Central Primary School, St. Peter's Mumias High School. There was no university, so I had to go to Egerton University in Joro. And guess what my first degree was? Clothing, textiles, and interior design. That was my first degree. Don't ask me how I knew about it. I didn't know it existed. Joint Admissions Board decided I'm going to Egerton to study agriculture and home economics. I get there, I discover there's another one. So I got that one, and I thought it was a better pick. And that's what I ended up doing for my 4 years at Egerton Joro. After that, I had developed interest in interior design, wanted to further in that. I couldn't because there was no university locally that was offering a master's in interior design. So the closest I got was South Africa. I had admission at New York School of Interior Design. My dad told me, sina hiyo pesa, na sitafanya harambee. Tafuta kitu unaweza fanya locally. Now I had to think of what to do, so I switched my mind and I thought, I'm a people person. I like just engaging with people. The next logical career I could take is HR. and inspired partly by my dad, who is a trade unionist, I wanted to do HR and become a HR manager so I can sit with the union on a negotiating table, and guess who is on the other side? Yes. Well, it didn't work. But I went back to school, did my MBA in HR now at the University of Nairobi. That's where I now started my HR journey. I didn't feel like I understood HR, so went back again, did my higher diploma in Human Resource Management at the Institute of Human Resource Management College then. Now it's called the College of Human Resource Management. Felt like I now know HR. Then I started looking for HR jobs. By this time, I was in Mumias doing logistics, sales, and distribution. Now I want a HR job. I started applying. Kwani nilipata hata regret? Nothing coming through. Long story short, I decided I'm venturing out to do my own thing. And so as I'm thinking about this, some friends come along that I would help occasionally in doing some facilitation of engagements, team buildings and the like. They come along, and these are friends I knew from Egerton, where I was doing my bachelor's. Everyone went their way and they were doing their things. Now we reconnect, and guess what? They needed someone that has a master's degree, preferably in HR. They had started a consulting entity. They ran into headwinds, and they needed such a person. And I became that person, and that's how then I moved from formal employment into Juakali. Now, Juakali, for the record, means unique knowledge, okay? Let me redefine it. Jua, knowledge. Kali, unique, okay? So it's unique knowledge. Please don't take it as you have been. So I'm in Juakali. I've been here since February 15th, the year 2015. That's when I ventured out. Someone asked a question about how to advise people that need to move from formal employment into Juakali. Quick advice, start now before you quit. Start now before you quit. Start now before you quit. How many times did I say that? Thrice I've spoken, once you should hear. So, my story, my journey at 29, that's when I made a decision to take on a beautiful Luo lady called Paulina Wino. We have been at it for 19 years now. Thankfully, blessed with 5 children, 3 boys, 2 girls. Do I look that potent? All right. Scratch. We are live. Okay. It's out there. So I have practiced HR since 2015, February 16th. That's when I literally just ventured into it. And one of the things that is interesting in this HR spaces is you have challenged us as HRs, we need to consider or rewrite the rules of engagement for Gen Zs. A conversation that is not going away today. Truth is, every generation in their heyday was a menace, was a problem. Even Gen Xs, there was a time Gen Xs were a problem to their parents and grandparents. Then we talked of millennials for quite a while. Exit millennials. Now we have Gen Zs. We are contending with them now. In another 12 years, Alpha will be in the workspace. I believe they will be worse than Zs. Watch that space. So yes, we must evolve with the times. And while we are at it, we must consider every of the persons that ultimately are coming into the workspace. Next 2 slides, please. So the next slide was just on the things that I needed to cover, or the topical areas I needed to discuss. One, just laying ground on what DEIB is, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And then number 2, build a case for it. Why is it important? And then number 3, what are some of the challenges or things that stand in the way of DEIB? And then a call to action. Just those 4 things are what I needed to go through. Next slide. So what is diversity? Let's start with diversity. Okay, you're already there, that's fine. Hold it there. What is diversity? Anyone? I said this is going to be a conversation. What is diversity? What is diversity? You may have gone to a group of schools or gone to a group in schools, that's fine. Just tell us from where you sit, what is diversity? Someone? Before I volunteer someone, there's a hand here. Please raise your hand so they get to see the mic is coming to you. We need to hear you, or the online team needs to hear what you're asking. In the meantime, someone prepare to tell me what equity is. Yes, please. Your mic is off. Technology, technology.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, please.
Diversity is the differences that we all bring into the workplace.
Differences. Let's unpack differences. What kinds of differences are we talking about? Gender? Race? Religion? Culture? Gender? I didn't hear someone say height, because we have the tall guys and those who are down to earth. Isn't that a consideration in terms of diversity? Abilities? Ethnicity? There was one that was mentioned in a question someone asked. Race? Personalities? Which one? Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Sexual orientation. Why are we avoiding that one? And it's a real deal. As HR practitioners, we are battling with it out here. Let me share my own example. I was consulting for an international non-profit organization, and I was handling the Kenyan office. So there's an expatriate that comes, and they bring a request to HR. Let me use names that are not the real names. So James comes to my office and says, I want my partner, Julius, on my medical cover. For the record, I go to Sitam Karen. And that is the request before me. What would you do if you were me? What would you do? You're the HR, a Christian, demon chasing, fire speaking, heaven bound, heavenly minded. Then this comes before you. What would you do if you were me? You pray for him. You start to exorcise some demons. Now this is the space we are getting into when you talk about diversity and including them. Guess why? These people came because they have a certain competency that is important to the organization. Their orientation notwithstanding. Because if we have those kind of prejudices, then people would be coming to my organization and I start thinking, it's about time lawyers had proper positions. So anyone who is not a lawyer, I'm not employing. We could as well go that direction and then miss out on critical persons that would add value to our organizations. So when you think diversity, please close your mind to your prejudices and what you have in your mind and consider this person as a value add to the organization. What are they bringing? So we listen, but we don't. What is equity? Okay, you have already put up the slide, it's fine. Yeah, just share with them. Let's just move on with this. So equity is different from equality. So when you talk equality, it's about everyone being on the same platform, regardless of their experience, knowledge, height, tribe, race, skin issues. You're asking everyone to work in the sun, and some of them have albinism. You know what that means, right? Now that's equality. But equity would be, everyone has different strengths, they possess different capabilities, let's deploy them. And deployment is simply putting someone where they thrive and they will do a very good job in that space because they have what it takes. Now that's equity. Let's move to inclusion. What is inclusion? Next slide. So there are instances where you have leaders, let me call them leaders for now, not bosses, that have some infamous statements they drop around. So you're in a brainstorming meeting and you give an idea. And then your boss looks at you, Kevin, unafikirianga kitoto? Is that the best you can give in terms of a thought? How about you consider every input? This is a brainstorming meeting, not reverse brainstorming. There's a difference. This is brainstorming. And you're dismissing ideas. Do you think the next time you ask for ideas, this person will speak? Hell no. Why would they? So in inclusion, every voice matters. Even that person who is gay. Let me camp there. Wacha nifinye hapo. Nifinye. Even that person should feel included. And ultimately, the journey ends at belonging. Why now? Because we have gotten into a space where this person feels like they are at home, regardless of their affiliations. They could be one term and you are two term. It's okay. Sorry for touching on that one. It looks like I'm touching on some nerves. I will avoid that. But the point is, we all are different with different capabilities. And we had a session earlier as we were preparing up somewhere. And Pastor was saying, we all are like the body, different parts, like Scripture says. We all have different roles to play. And we can only do justice to having everyone on board for the sake of the organizations that we are in or we lead. It could be your own organizations, you could be employed, whatever the case. So diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging is a journey that flows like that. So why DEIB? Next slide, please. Why diversity, equity, and inclusion? What's the business case for it? So you can talk of many things. Please share that with the team. So you can talk of boosting innovation, because when you have different mentalities, different mindsets, and people coming with that, you definitely have that. Better decision making, talent attraction. Where's the Gen Z? Where's Grace? Where's she? Where's that champion? Oh, she stepped out. Yeah, we want to retain as many of them as we possibly can, while we are also retained. By the way, in diversity, equity, and inclusion, much as we are focusing on Gen Zs, please also have the mindset of DEIB and accept the boomers who are waiting for their retirement, and the exes who are now your bosses, and they are demanding that you be in the office 8 to 5. Please appreciate where they're also coming from. Let them also feel like they are at home and included. So it's not about the other side only. Much as the Swahili said, Mwamba ngoma uvutia kwake. How about we also consider the other person? Empathy has to check in. And then customer connection. Moving on, next slide. I'm literally out of time. Barriers to DEIB, I could camp there for a while. Let me pick out unconscious bias. What do you think unconscious bias means? Unconscious bias. What do you think that means? Yes, please.
Yeah, in layman's, by giving an example, maybe it would be like you're recruiting for drivers, and then you automatically think they have to be men. Or you're recruiting for housekeepers, and automatically you think all of them have to, the applicants must be women or ladies. Or watchmen and the guards and kids.
I like that. Very good illustration. Because you in your mind have certain conceptions, certain mindsets, certain upbringings, certain orientations, that when something comes to mind, you already are thinking, this is it. When you see a Wanjiku or Anjoroge wanting to be manager, finance manager, you already are having questions about how you save your money is. That's what we're talking about, unconscious biases that come in. And shortly, we are denying people that would have added value to the organization the opportunity to do so. I wish to stop there. Thank you very much. I'm literally out of time, so yeah.
Let's give a round of applause to this guy. Questions? Any questions? Perfect.
I have a question, and I'm in HR, which disturbs me, on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Say, for instance, you're like Renee, the director of HR, and a Christian, so you have your values. Then you get into your dream job. Okay, I've not experienced it, but I dread to be in such a situation. Then you're told you must plan for a rainbow day. Same way, you probably say today our theme is African and everybody must come wearing a shirt like you're wearing. How do you handle that?
Good afternoon, people. I have a question. You said that the first one is an unconscious bias. Let's say someone is applying for a job, and that job is saying, okay, let's say they're looking for a HR intern, and then let's say preferably male. So do you do?
And you are not male.
Yes.
All right, I will answer that. Thank you. Last question.
Okay. All right. My question is in regards to financial discipline. Because of the harsh economic times, you find most employees are on a credit cycle. By the first week of being paid, they don't even have fare to go to work or do not have finances to meet the needs. So how can a corporate come up with a financial literacy program, or how they can assist such employees who are in credit cycles? Thank you.
Right. I think Kevin will take that one. Yes, please.
You mentioned this organization that you consulted for, but it's an example that you could also just help us as HR. Some medical cover. So you have this person who sends details of same sex to be included in their medical cover as their partner. Our medical insurance companies, have they started accepting that in Kenya, or how would you deal with that?
Okay. You're still taking me. I avoided telling you what I did, but now I'll have to say what happened. So starting with the first question. So you have been asked to organize for an event you don't believe in. That contradicts what you stand for. You are very straight. You are a church deacon or whatever role. Then you're asked to organize for a rainbow day. What do you do? Hiyo kampuni ni yako? Ni ya mama yako? Ni ya kwenyu? You know, that's a difficult place to be. Why? Because much as there is what you stand for, there is what you're supposed to deliver, and it's in your JD for you to organize events in the organization. Two choices. Do it not believing in it, or refuse to do it and go home. And when you do it, organize it, you probably may just, if it was me, I would be passive in how I'm doing it. For the sake of, let them go do their thing. I don't believe in it. Or better still, I could be the evangelist in that session. But I have to do it because it's not my organization. I came here and I'm getting my livelihood from here. I'm here on assignment. Maybe it's in those forums that I am having to organize that I'm going to minister to someone. Maybe, just maybe. But if I can't and I decide I'm not doing this, I could as well walk away. Nirudi kuangaliana na watu wangu niwaambia tutaweza kulipa rent, hatuwezi kukula. That's a hard one though. Question number 2. Men are encouraged to apply and you are not a man. If you apply, kuna mtu atakupeleka jela. But when they say encouraged to, it means they have a preference, or they probably within their organization have a deficit of men. So they're trying to fill up that. Maybe it's female dominated, and that's why they are saying men are encouraged to apply. But they have not been specific and say only men should apply. So nothing stops you from applying. So what I did, because this person was coming to operate in the jurisdiction called +254, the rules of this land apply. So what does the law of the land say? Our policy was clear that someone can bring in their spouse and they adduce evidence of that person being their spouse. What is the evidence here? It is a certificate of marriage. So if you have that one, nothing stops me. I will put you on the cover. They couldn't get that one here. That's how I ran away with it. Thank you very much.
Round of applause, a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you to come to the front. We will have all our HR experts seated at the front with chairs, if possible, the red chairs. My team, please bring them the red chairs. The rest of you, stand behind here. Media, please help us. We need a photo session right now. A photo session right now. And as that is going on, Joanne, where's your team? Who is doing what? Media, help me with a photo session, photography session. Please, come to the front. All of you, come to the front, come to the front. Just arrange yourselves behind them. Thank you. Media, is there? Someone is coming. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it going so that your blood can flow. And as you're moving, I want to recognize the presence of those who are on social media. Thank you so much for being with us since morning. We apologize when we had the technical hitch and we had to go offline. Kenya Power, the power went off, but it came back. If you want to catch up, we are on YouTube. You can go back there and do the replay for the session that we had. For those